Thank you, Tammy. Thank you for your kind words. And thank you, Minister. Thank you again. I'll reiterate what Tammy has said, the sharing of your personal journey and the confidence you're giving us as a Commission starting out to act in a bold and courageous way. So thank you for your words. Thank you also to everybody for bearing with us through the disruption of last month, which saw our launch event being postponed due to the change in COVID-19 levels. We just couldn't go ahead without our Auckland whānau being present. So welcome again to everyone. As a nation, we remain in a very privileged position of being able to gather here today in this way. However, as a Commission, we also recognise the toll that the coronavirus pandemic has on our economy, business owners, the wider community, and the mental health and well-being of all people of Aotearoa. Stepping into the role of Chair alongside my fellow Commission board members is an honour and a privilege to serve our communities and to uphold the kaupapa set out in He Ara Oranga. As the Chair, I welcome the talent, expertise and diversity represented at our board table. Transforming the system is possible. The task set out before us is no small thing. It will be challenging and at times confrontational. We need to partner with Māori and to uphold our commitment to Te Riti o Waitangi, to change our approach and be open to new ideas and ways of thinking. A lot of hard work and effort has gone on many fronts to bring us to this point. We, the board, recognise this and are ready to take up the mantle and work with you all to bring about system transformation. We acknowledge Minister Little and the government for acting on He Ara Oranga recommendations and also the wider health and disability review, and in particular progressing the 4 key priorities: to establish the Suicide and Prevention Office, to deliver a suicide prevention strategy for Aotearoa, to establish us as a Commission, to reform the Mental Health Act, and to increase access and choice to help mental health services. These actions are propelling us in the right direction, but still, as has been said, there is much to do, still much to do. It was great to see the Mental Health Act Amendment Bill pass its first reading in Parliament last week. It's a positive step towards ensuring people's rights are upheld. One thing that brings about an end to indefinite treatment orders and sees our whānau being able to be included using such things as technology. I would like to acknowledge the people working at the Suicide Prevention Office, the former Mental Health Commissioner, Kevin Allen, and the former board and secretariat members of the initial Commission, Mental Health and Wellbeing Commission, for supporting the establishment of the Commission. Also to government agencies and the mental health and addiction sector for their engagement in the initial Commission over the last 12 months. And most of all, tangata whaiora and their whānau who have contributed to the work of the initial Commission since its inception. As a board, we are walking in the shadow of those that paved the way before us, and we are seeking to honour the work that you have done. We are committed to growing an organisation that is first and foremost grounded in Te Riti o Waitangi. From that place, we take up our role working as partners to oversee the change that people are seeking. In these early days of the Commission, our focus is on 3 key areas: establishment, leadership and partnership, monitoring and reporting, and advocacy and engagement. We need to establish the organisation to get it off the ground, working on practical things like staffing, setting up policies and practices, and developing strategies to connect and partner effectively with iwi, as well as to build strong relationships with communities and the mental health and addiction sector. The Commission has worked with the former Mental Health Commissioner to transfer the mental health and addiction services monitoring role to the Commission. We are developing a monitoring and reporting strategy based on 2 different draft frameworks that have been handed over from the initial Commission. The He Ara Oranga Wellbeing Outcomes Framework, which looks at how we will measure people's well-being, and the He Ara Awhina Framework to enable us to monitor service levels in the mental health and wellbeing system. These frameworks will form the foundations of our monitoring and reporting so that we can transparently track progress over time, measure the performance of the wellbeing system and whether or not it is delivering on the recommendations in He Ara Oranga. In advocacy and engagement, we need to connect with people in communities, to listen to the voices of tangata waiora and their whānau, to ensure that we can advocate for equity of access. Today, across our country, the burden of mental distress continues to fall unevenly across society. Tangata whenua, Pacific peoples, our rainbow community, people with disabilities, refugees and migrants, veterans, prisoners, older people, rural communities, rangatai and our tamariki, particularly those who experience adverse childhood events in children in state care, and people with lived experience of mental distress and addiction. These are the communities for which the Commission has been called into being. The system needs to be an all-of-government approach as well as a wider societal response to wellbeing, one that extends far beyond the boundaries of the mental health and addiction sector. We need to take into account the social determinants that play a major role in people's wellbeing, such as housing, employment, colonisation, racism and poverty. Last month, Minister Little released the initial Commission's progress report, Mā Te Rongo Ake, through listening and hearing, found that the government has shown commitment to drive change and deliver it on its obligations to He Ara Oranga, but the change hasn't always been what people expected. We acknowledge government is progressing inquiry recommendations such as expanding access and choice to services and suicide prevention initiatives. Significant investment has been made. As you would expect, it has been prioritised and sequenced over time. However, we have been told by people in the community and on the front line that they are concerned at the lack of a visible plan from government and worry investment as ad hoc, too slow and not targeted always in the right areas. The initial Commission's assessment also showed there was a need for more time to commission kaupapa Māori, Pacific and peer services. Priority groups such as disabled people and former refugees say they do not see themselves in services that have been rolled out thus far. We encourage government to consider advice from the initial Commission to address inequity and build strong foundations on these early days of system transformation. While acknowledging that progress is being made and that further positive changes are in the pipeline, I believe that it is time for government to deliver a clear action plan that maps how and when the transformation of the system will happen. To succeed in the task before us requires us collaboration, but above all, it requires community. As a country, we need to return to a place of deep community connection. It's not enough for us to rely on the system to solve the situation. We need to look to the wisdom and ways of knowing from Mātauranga Māori, from Pacific peoples, to draw on the rich resources available at local grassroots level in order to radically rethink how we do things. We also need to move with urgency and focus. 2020 showed us as a nation, as a health and wellbeing system, and as communities that when a situation like the coronavirus pandemic hits, we can adapt and respond at pace. During the lockdowns, I watched our communities and the system come together in innovative ways to reach out to our most vulnerable. This gave me hope and confidence that the answers are there to solve challenges that we are facing. But by acting with a sense of common purpose and with urgency, by building high trust relationships and taking a community-led approach to developing solutions, we can create a new way forward, centred around whānau and wellbeing. The time has come to be bold, to step up, and to move forward with determination and at pace. Tangata waiora and whānau have been waiting a long time for large-scale change to happen. Quite simply, their call must be answered. We need to deliver. Understanding transformation will require everyone working together to achieve our goal. We pledge ourselves as a Commission to leading by example and being the eyes and the ears of the community to advocate for and drive change. Mā toka tū moana tātou. Kia ora tātou.